All right, let's dive into one of the most public and frankly fascinating rivalries in tech today. Elon Musk versus Bill Gates. This is a real clash of titans, and we're going to break down exactly how it all started, where it stands now, and, what it actually means for the rest of us. So let's start with the most recent plunge thrown. This quote from Elon Musk, wow. It's not about tech, it's not about business, it is a direct shot at Bill Gates' character, tying him to one of the most toxic names out there. It just goes to show how personal this has all become. But to understand how we got to this point, we've got to go back.
And that's really the big question we're digging into, isn't it? How did a pretty nerdy debate about electric trucks blow up into this massive public feud that now involves everything from global policy and social media to these really sharp personal insults? Let's trace it out.
Okay, so even though these recent comments from Musk are what's grabbing all the headlines, it's so important to get that this isn't some new fight. Not at all. It's really just the public explosion of attention that's been building and simmering for years right below the surface.
The battleground for this latest flare-up has completely shifted. It's moved way beyond just tech. Musk's comments came up during a talk about foreign aid, where he basically questioned whether Gates even had the moral standing to talk about child welfare. The fight has officially expanded from engineering to global policy and, personal integrity.
But to really get this rivalry, you have to go back to the origin story. And it all started not with policy, but with a good old-fashioned disagreement about engineering and physics.
So here's where it all kicked off. Bill Gates was publicly saying he was skeptical about electrifying heavy-duty stuff like semi-trucks. Now, to Elon Musk, who already had Tesla semi-prototypes literally on the road, this was just baffling. As far as he was concerned, the science was totally clear and the engineering part was already being done.
And, Musk being Musk, he didn't just keep that opinion to himself. He went on the Joe Rogan Experience and was incredibly blunt. He basically said Gates was speaking from a place of ignorance, that he was just repeating things he'd heard without actually getting the fundamental physics behind it all.
But what's super interesting is how Musk argued his point. He wasn't just disagreeing, he was attacking the very foundation of Gates's opinion. He said it's not a philosophical debate. It's a debate about hard numbers, things like battery energy density, a truck's energy efficiency. He pointed to real-world proof like Pepsi's fleet of Tesla semis. According to Musk, when he tried to talk to Gates about these specific numbers, Gates didn't have an answer. And to an engineer, if you don't know the numbers, you can't have a real opinion.
And then Musk threw in a financial curveball. He brought up reports that Bill Gates was shorting Tesla's stock. In other words, betting a huge amount of money that the company would fail. For Musk, this changed everything. Suddenly, Gates's public skepticism didn't just sound like a technical disagreement. It looked like it could be tied to a financial motive to see Tesla go down.
So let's keep going, because from there, things really started to spiral. A fight that started about trucks quickly ballooned into a much bigger conflict that touched on some of the most important issues of our time.
This timeline really lays out the whole escalation perfectly. It kicks off in the early 2020s with that truck debate. Then, during the pandemic, it moves into disagreements over vaccine logistics. By 2022, it's about information itself, when Gates started raising red flags about Musk buying Twitter. And that brings us right to today, where the fight is about global aid. You can just see how with each step, the stakes get higher and the fight gets bigger.
And yeah, when Musk bought Twitter, now X, Gates was very public with his worries. He said it pretty plainly. He thought Musk could actually make it worse, making the platform a more dangerous place for public conversation, especially when it comes to misinformation.
And this gets to a really deep philosophical divide between them. Musk's whole stated goal was openness, creating this kind of digital town square with almost total free speech. But Gates, coming from that global public health perspective, was asking the really tough questions. In that kind of system, how do you stop dangerous lies, like vaccines kill people or those crazy conspiracies, from spreading like wildfire? So when you kind of step back from all the specific arguments, what you start to see are two just fundamentally different ways of looking at the world. Two completely different playbooks for how to solve the biggest problems we face. This right here, this is the heart of the whole rivalry. On one side, you have Musk, the engineer. His whole world is first principles physics and hard data, and his focus is on building industrial technology. On the other side, you have Gates, who's really evolved into the architect. He works through policy and huge-scale funding, trying to create systemic change through philanthropy. It's the builder versus the planner, the industrialist versus the institutionalist. Okay, so it's a really interesting rivalry, but why does it actually matter to you and me?
I mean, these aren't just two billionaires arguing for sport. Their competing visions are shaping our future in very, very real ways.
And the stakes here, they could not be higher. The results of these debates literally influence how we're going to tackle climate change, how we'll prepare for the next public health crisis, the rules that will govern our online lives, and maybe the biggest question of all, what is the proper role for billionaires when it comes to solving the world's biggest problems?
And that really leaves us with this final, huge question. As all of our global challenges get more and more complex, whose approach do we actually need more? Do we need the disruptive, data-driven engineer who builds the future from the ground up? Or do we need the strategic, systemic architect who plans it from the top down? The answer is, well, it's not clear at all. And this rivalry is where we're seeing that exact debate play out for the whole world to see.